Alright, so after all the confusion, we're finally on to my 6th retro station in the house. Now, I went over stations 1 and 2. Station 3, which was where the Pac-Man machine is now, and it's now over here right next to number 6. And on top of that, we've got 1, 2, 3, Station 4 and 5 over there. 5 we went over last week in a really poorly produced video. This video I'm going to try to make better, although there's a lot of distractions running around. We're going to see what happens on this week's adventures with Pappa J. Alright, so number 6. What do I have on number 6? Number 6 I got along my back wall of the house. That's the door you come into the house on. Yes, my game room is in the very front room of the house. And it's the way we like it. It's the biggest room of the house. It's the room that gets the most use. And we love having the game room out here. So there's room for all the one-ups and room for all the great stuff that we have. So, what I have over here along this back wall is I have a 24-inch screen. My other screens are 22 inches. This is 24. This is an older TV. Actually, I got probably in 2010 on Black Friday. It's an old TV. It's an AOC. AOC is known for making monitors. But they made a TV that they sold for like $120, which was a hell of a deal for a 24-inch back in the day. Doesn't have as many hookups as I like. Doesn't have as many USBs as I like. We all know the clone systems and a lot of the mini systems actually run off USB. So you can plug your USB power right into your TV, and that's handy as hell. And I love instances where I can do that. And I did do that on this one because I do have one USB plug-in. Let's talk about what I got over here. First of all, for systems, we'll go over the games in a second. For systems, I've got my Atari 7800. 7800 is awesome because it'll play 2600 games as well as 7800 games. So I have 2 places to play my 2600. Station 2 and Station 6, where I can play my 2600 games. 7800, those games are getting harder and harder to find, although I do have quite a few that are, like 4 of them that are actually in a box. I've got one of them in a box that's sealed. It's in rough shape, but it's still technically sealed, so that's cool. I'll never open that up. The 7800 is a cool system. The timing was kind of crappy. It came out right before the NES, or right after. Actually came out before the NES was discontinued. Nintendo approached Atari about actually delivering the NES in America under the Atari brand. Atari refused, and so Nintendo came over here on their own, and Atari meanwhile revived the 7800, which was a little bit underpowered at that point to compete against the NES. And it got its ass handed to it, and NES went on to do what it would do, and Nintendo went on to become what it became. So when you look back, Atari's probably thinking, I should have took them up on that offer. But they didn't. So we have an Atari 7800 as a retro system. Atari would go on to make Jaguar, a 64-bit system back in the era of 32-bit systems, and a handheld Atari Lynx. All right, next, what I have over here is I've got my PlayStation 2 Slim. I love my PlayStation 2 Slim. I've got it hooked up with composite cables, composite component, I can't remember, the high-def cables. I've got it hooked up to the TV so I can play the games in high def. I also use my PS2 to play my PS1 games. So that's handy because everything's in high def, super clear, super bright. The PS2 allows you for backwards compatibility, since it'll play PS1 games, allows you to set the settings for faster load times, as well as smoothing out some of the graphics, because those graphics were really jaggy back in the day. It was either that or blurry Nintendo 64 graphics. The options weren't pretty, and those games for neither of those systems have really aged that well. But I've got my PS2 here. I've got my PS1 accessories, because you do have to have a PS1 memory card in your PS2 to save your games. And that's cool with me. Now, I've also, over in station number 1, if you recall, I've got a PS3, which plays PS2 games. So that's cool. I have that option. Or wait, no, it plays PS1 games. But you got to do a lot of settings. Every time you turn it on, you got to mess with the settings to make it work properly. It's a pain in the ass. PS2 is a much better PS1 player, and that's why I use it for that over here on station number 6. Now, probably my favorite piece in my retro collection is this analog Mega SG. It is a clone Sega Genesis that works on field programmable gate arrays, which is a special chip that you can program to make it behave like any other chip. And it's really an incredible design. It's a bit expensive. It was $189, which is how much the Sega Genesis itself launched for back in the early 90s. But to me, it's worth it because Sega is my favorite developer. Sega Genesis was my favorite system back in the 16-bit days. 100% compatibility. The sound is duplicated 100%, because when you do the $60 high definition clones, they work and they're fine. And I used one for years, but some of the sounds are off, especially like the rings in Sonic. So some of the sounds are off. However, this one, everything's replicated in what they call archival quality at 1080p. And it's awesome. It comes with an adapter that you can pop in the top here. And with that adapter, you can play the Master System games. So you can go back to the Sega Genesis, or the Sega console, nobody ever heard of. That was competing with the NES, because the NES did whoop ass. But the Master System is actually more powerful than the NES, and the games, Double Dragon on there is awesome. It is sweet. Play the one for the NES. It is a slog. You don't even want to bother with it. You want it for your collection, but you don't want to play it. Okay, so what else do I have over here? This is where I have a lot of my retro games, cartridges and CDs. This is where I store a lot of them. Over here, I store my Nintendo 64 games. Nintendo 64 is 1, 2, 3, station number 5. Is where I keep that system, but I got the games over here. I've got most of my Atari 2600 games over here, along with a few back there over by Retro Station 5. I've got all of my Xbox games up here and down there for my original Xbox. Sega Genesis, all in the box and out of box, as well as some out-of-box over there at Station 5. I've got more Sega Genesis games than anything else. Because, again, that's my favorite 16-bit system, and that's the system I'm trying to complete an entire collection of games for. So I'm that loser going in there grabbing those $1.50, $2 sports titles that stores just can't get rid of, because I need them. If I want to complete my collection, I need all of those, too, to complete it. So I got a bunch of those in there, and they're not worth a lot of money. I've got my PS1 games right here. My PS2 games over here. Then my handhelds. I do have 3DS and DS games right here. I actually have a Game Boy camera. No kidding, I have an actual by God Game Boy camera. My jump pack for my 64, which I have the RAM extender in. Then back over here, I've got my handheld cartridges. You look, I've got in the back rows, I've got all of my Game Boy and Game Boy Colors. Up in front of them, I've got my Game Boy Advance games. So I've got all the Advance Wars. love those games. It's a high point of my handheld collection is Advance Wars, and I've got all 4 of them, and I can't wait for the reboot to come out. I'm going to grab that one too. Hopefully, Nintendo, if you're listening, you're going to come out with a brand new Advance Wars game. Days of Ruin, a little bit disappointing, but that's 1 out of 4. So I got to imagine the next time you're going to come up with a dime. Alright, so I also have a couple. Can you believe this? Hello? Nope, I am cool. Thank you for asking. Alrighty, love you, brother. Sorry about that. That was the Man in Black, Alex Salyers. We saw him yesterday at a autograph signing. I won something. I wasn't there when my ticket was drawn. So, he lives just down the street. He plans on stopping on by. So anyways, give me a heads up. Alex Salyers, Man in Black. Catch him out on Championship Wrestling from Arizona and IZW Wrestling. Alright. So anyway, back over here, I also have a couple of DS games in here. Because I got so many DS games, I've got nowhere to put all of them. This, by the way, if you're wondering, this is a nail polish holder. You see them like in CVS and Walgreens, holding a whole rack of nail polishes. You can put 64 carts in here. You can put anything in here. This is how I organize my handhelds. And brilliant idea. That's not my own. I saw it on the internet, and wow, it's really great. You can get these things for $20 to $40, depending on what you're buying and where you're buying it. And it holds an S-load of games. I highly recommend doing this if you're running out of rooms. It's so much better than just stacking them, like I used to just stack them. Well, here they are. Now I have access to them. I can see everything. I can see my color games. Look at this. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Why has it got a battery in it? Because it's got a rumble pack. So it's got a battery in it. So that's cool. So that's everything here. Retro Video Game Station number 6. Now I'm going to ask you guys to check out BigLipRadio.com. Tuesday we record our regular podcast. It's live on Twitch, YouTube, wherever you're watching your streaming, gaming, and all that other stuff. We're doing our podcast. You can catch us there. And also check out Lip Service. Big Lip Radio / Lip Service. That's where all the good podcasts are. The ones that can get us in trouble. And the ones we don't want in the general hands of the public. Just you, the special viewers, go to Lip Service at BigLipRadio.com. All right, man. Thank you guys for everything. And I will see you Tuesday.